Shall we crash onwards then to Barton Fink?
Oh, you don't have a good segue there, Scott. I am disappointed. Now, here's a slightly inconvenient thing for a film podcast, most particularly an episode focusing on cinematography. I don't actually need to watch Barton Fink. Oh, not in the Big Lebowski-like way, in that I really don't need to watch it. The entire film is burned into the inside of my mind. But I mean that I could just close my eyes and listen to Joel and Ethan Coen's exceptional dialogue. Not that Barton Fink is itself exceptional in that regard. That's kind of table stakes for the brothers from Minnesota. And listening to just the dialogue would indeed be particularly appropriate for this tale of a young New York playwright, played by John Turturro, who moves to Hollywood for stint writing for the pictures so that he can then afford to spend as long as he wants writing about the struggles of the common man. But to so close my eyes would of course mean I miss out on so much. From Turturro and John Goodman's wonderfully expressive faces, to the distinctive visual stylings and Deakins' compositions. This film marking his first time working with the siblings. Struggling to complete work in Miller's Crossing, writer's block, it is assumed by most, though the Coens themselves deny this, attention was turned to this tale of a socialist activist playwright selling his soul to work at Capitol Pictures for Michael Lerner's Jack Lipnick. And yes, that is the same Capitol Pictures that would later appear in Hail Caesar. Wanting somewhere to stay less Hollywood than the studio was minded to give him, Fink sets himself up in the slightly shabby, more than slightly odd Hotel Earl, and sets to work on his first job, writing a script for a wrestling B-movie. And while the Coens may have written Barton Fink in an astonishing 3 weeks, their protagonist isn't so productive, struggling to write word one. Unless somehow he can shoehorn fishmongers into wrestling. After initially complaining about the very loud laughter coming from the room, Fink befriends his neighbour at the hotel, John Goodman's Charlie Meadows, a gregarious and friendly insurance salesman who represents exactly the sort of salt-of-the-earth regular Joe that he wants to write about. Meanwhile, in hopes of getting a kickstart from the proximity of another writer, Fink spends time with John Mahoney's William Faulkner-inspired W.P. Mayhew and his secretary and lover Audrey, played by Judy Davis. After a desperate late-night plea for help with an impending deadline, Audrey and Barton sleep together. And when Barton wakes up, finds he's in an entirely different genre of film altogether. Though the film willfully eschews easy definitions of genre at all. I'm not going to go too much more into the plot in that, because I think if you don't really know much about it, that's quite a surprise, that scene, and I don't want to talk too much about that just now. But it really was the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and Deakins has said that the Coens' meticulous method of filmmaking has influenced him. Here, he has provided the film with that warm, slightly unreal tone that just screams 1940s, and his always carefully considered compositions, which in this case often have a still, painting-like quality, reflect the breakdown of Fink's psyche. The centrepiece of this is the Hotel Earl itself, which stands in stark relief to the light and vivid, yet slightly phony environs of the studio in Lipnick's office, and the sharply rendered world of sophisticated New York art society in which the film begins. The Earl exudes a greenish sickliness and a feeling of stifling, clammy air that oppresses the viewer as much as the character. You'll want to loosen your collar and probably also scratch and then likely take a shower. The similarities between the weeping wallpaper paste and Charlie's pus-filled ear are not coincidental. The Earl is a metaphorical hell and will later become an actual inferno in another beautifully shot sequence using fire, one of Deakins' favourite tools. Together with art directors Bob Goldstein and Leslie MacDonald, he made the Earl a central character. There's good reason Barton Fink has found itself in numerous lists of defining films of the 90s, and that's because it's superb. It was even so successful at Cannes that the festival changed the rules so that no subsequent film could win so many prizes. The acting is excellent, Turturro and Goodman in particular. In fact, Goodman's role was written specifically to take advantage of the friendly, avuncular image he naturally projects to the audience and then subvert it. And Carter Burwell's eerie score is unsettling, and as you may have guessed from the way I spoke at the start, the dialogue is simply amazing. And what is Barton Fink in the end? A comedy? A drama? A noir thriller? A dark comedy? A dramedy? Yes. And also something you should watch. because it is really good.
Yeah. Advice I should have taken to heart a long time ago. This is actually the first time I watched Barton Fink. I've tried to watch Barton Fink a number of times, and for whatever reason, it's not like I've ever not enjoyed what I'd seen of it so far, but I've either fallen asleep or something else has intervened or interjected, and never managed to make it all the way through after about at least 3 attempts. But yes, this is the first time I actually made it all the way through to the end, and it's good. I liked it. So yes, I should have done that a long time ago.
Well done, you.
Yes. A hell of a performance from John Turturro. I love how obnoxious he is at the start, especially with all the interactions with John Goodman in the first couple of times they meet, where he's just so slappable. Like, stop doing that. But yes, it definitely becomes more sympathetic as various horrors are inflicted upon him towards the end of the film, and it takes you on a wild ride. If that shot I mentioned in 1917 was Deakins showing off, then this whole film is just the Coen brothers showing off. It's like, how do you write this in, 2-3 weeks, they were saying?
3 weeks apparently it was, yeah.
It's nuts.
While they were stuck in another film.
Yeah. No, we just cranked this one out to amuse ourselves. It's one of their best films. It's disgusting.
It won everything.
It's just wrong. It's not right at all. It's really, really good. Yes, those boys have just too much talent. It is up there with their best, and there's so many great things, largely capped off by those whole bunch of performances and some. Yeah, it's just the dialogue's impeccable, as you tend to get from Coen Brothers, but it's particularly great here, and very, very funny, very entertaining, and certainly keeps you guessing as to how it's actually going to play out in the end. It's not predictable from the start. If you describe the first couple of scenes and the last few scenes, it would be very difficult to draw a roadmap that gets from there to the end. But yes, they've pulled off, and it certainly is very easy to be carried along by it and go along for this crazy ride. Yeah,
Barton definitely doesn't end up in the same film he started off in.
Yes.
I think for me, apart from the dialogue, I hadn't seen Barton Fink in a while, so I'd actually forgotten most of it. I remembered I liked it. Mm-hmm. But the only portions that I could really clearly remember were the portions with John Mahoney.
Right.
Why that is, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Possibly because at that point, it's like, oh, it's Fraserstad, and it'd been the only thing I'd ever seen him in. It kind of stuck out because it was the first time I'd seen him in something else. But yeah, I know from other Coen Brothers works, including one that we're going to talk about shortly, that John Goodman's is really good. Some of his best stuff's been with the Coen Brothers. But I think it's not quite the revelation, but the real standout for me in this was John Turturro.
Yeah.
Because in recent years, amazing he is Jesus Quintana in The Big Lebowski. It's a ridiculous character.
Yeah.
And intentionally so, okay? But then you've got kind of playing really daft characters in the Transformer films.
Yeah.
Things. Whereas, because of a couple of episodes we've done in the last couple of years, actually, Scott, I've seen him in earlier stuff that I'd either not seen in a while, I'd never seen before. Mm-hmm. Like, watch... like how good he is in a couple of Spike Lee films, like Do the Right Thing in particular. Mm-hmm. He's also in Jungle Fever.
Yeah. And
I really like him in Jungle Fever. And it's a small role, but a fairly good role in To Live and Die in LA.
Yeah.
And go back and like seen him do. It's hard to call Barton Fink straight, but compared to, for instance, the Jesus Quintana, it's a much more straight role. And actually, it's really good.
Yeah.
He's got such an expressive face, and I think he's become known for of late for slightly goofier. I said exactly the same one. I was thinking goofier roles. And I'm watching this and thinking, he should be the lead more. He's great.
Yeah.
It's a real disappointment that he's not. But it's such a good film, and in a career of films that I love so many of. This is actually one of the Coen Brothers' best. And I kind of scold myself now that I'd managed to forget that, or maybe at the time didn't quite appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I've waited so long to revisit this, and like, oh wow, yes, this was brilliant. I'll be watching this again.
Yes.
But to keep in with the tone or the topic of this episode, though, the real standout, as I mentioned, is the the Hotel Earl. It's a weird and creepy place.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an even weirder version of something like the Overlook Hotel or something.
Exactly what I was thinking, yeah. It's,
Like
it's just missing an elevator full of blood, but yeah, so that's much the same vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. The yellowish green tones, the fact that there doesn't appear to be anybody in it apart from Steve Buscemi's Chet and then John Turturro and John Goodman.
Yeah.
The seemingly endless corridors of shoes, despite the fact you never see anybody else.
Yeah.
Ghost shoes. And the whole thing has just been made such a character, and it really does feel so kind of uncomfortable in those scenes.
Yeah.
And you can feel the heat.
Yes.
Yeah, it's another thing of what, like, we're with working together with the director. Roger Deakins has managed to like create an atmosphere and a really consistent, solid atmosphere. That's basically there's not like a scene in any of his film that he hasn't thought about. There's never anything slapdash with anything he does.
Yeah.
There's never like, oh, this scene isn't as important, isn't going to be care. That it's, I mean, there's not every scene can be an interesting. Like we'll come to it later, of course, but there's a scene in Sicario where it's basically the most boring building you've ever seen. It's an apartment building. It's basically a concrete cube, but we'll try and make it look as good as it possibly can.
Yeah.
Like it's like everything's just like set. So like there's balance in every composition. It's never just a case that, oh well, this scene doesn't matter so much, we'll just plonk the camera down.
Yeah.
I think it's consistency that is one of the things that I've found that really marked him out.
Yeah, yeah. Right from the off, there doesn't seem to be any. He's just been very good at this from the very start. Hopefully getting better and more ambitious as time goes on. But yes, been really good for a very long time. Quite impressive.
There is a reason he's considered one of the best, most influential cinematographers ever. It's because he's awfully good. I will apologise now if I end up repeating myself, listeners, but I'm trying to find the right words to explain why he's so good. And I'm struggling a bit. I don't want to just repeat myself saying he's very good. I said, as I mentioned at the start, not quite sure I've got quite the vocabulary to do it justice.
Yeah.
Other than, ooh, pretty. It's not really the loquacious way I want to speak about it. Yes, what's best is when he's done work with a director or directors and it's a really good collaboration, and that together you can see that they've produced something special.
Yeah.
And this is very much one of those films, although most of them are.
Yeah.